to reach second base during the All-Star game. Pulled that phone out and preserved the moment, which there'll be plenty more of with those two guys now sharing a Dodger uniform. It's an extra buzz, as you might imagine, with not just this being the start of the second half, but with Machado joining the team. And Dave Roberts has put together his first lineup with Machado in it. Chris Taylor will lead things off before Machado makes his Dodger debut. And then Max Muncy hitting third and starting at third. Matt Kemp is in right, batting cleanup. Center fielders Kike Hernandez with Cody Bellinger at first, hitting sixth. And at the bottom of the order, it's Forsythe and Barnes in front of Rich Hill. They face off with a 31-year-old Wade Miley, who makes only his fourth start of the year. Missed the first month of the season with a groin injury. Came back in early May, started twice, but then he hurt his oblique. And Omar missed 2 months with that. Just made his first start back prior to the All-Star break.
Yeah, you can see the opponent's batting average against him. It's been 195, and it's been very effective when he has been on the mound. The other thing that stands out on there is that he has 9 base on balls in just 11 1/3 innings pitched. So the Dodgers going to have to look for their pitch, be patient, see if he can command the strike zone and take advantage of mistakes.
Yeah, a year ago in Baltimore, he had the highest walk rate in baseball. Not just the highest walk rate in baseball last year, but the highest in baseball, period, for more than a decade and a half. And so trying to find himself as far as the strike zone goes. Off we go in this one with ball one to Chris Taylor. The Dodgers 10-4 in July. And of course, anytime you look at this season, you go back to mid-May as the separator. Best record in the National League since mid-May at 37-17. On a 1-1 pitch, Taylor jams it foul, and it's 1-2. Closed captioning tonight brought to you by Wiener Schnitzel. So the Dodgers opening this second half a half game ahead of the Diamondbacks in the West. Taylor shoots one up the middle. At second, that's Hernan Perez for the first out of the game. And so here comes Manny Machado for his first at bat in a Dodger uniform. He is, by pretty much every measure, having his best season in the majors. And that is saying something for a guy that's been an All-Star 4 times in his 7 years.
One I was waiting to, you were going to hear the cheers from the Dodger crowd, but there was some boos from the Brewer crowd. And there was talk about him possibly being a Brewer. They were in the running, but it's not his fault. He didn't have any choice in it. He was even asked about it in his press conference about, is it weird coming over here when the Brewers were interested? He said, listen, I'm honored and flattered that so many teams were interested in him.
He's 26 years old. Top 10 in the majors in many offensive categories. And he cues one through the right side with his shift on the right-handed hitter for a single to open his time with the Dodgers.
Your first day with the new team, you're meeting everybody, you have to do the press conference, so much news around you, and then once the game starts, it's all about baseball. But still, you're going, I need just that first hit, I need to get that first hit out of the way. Kind of like that opening day. He mentioned it like going to a new school in his press conference, first day of school, meeting new friends, but he got it out of the way.
He gets Max Muncy to the plate. He takes strike one. He gets it right out of the way. And Manny made it clear during the press conference and has throughout his career that he just wants to play baseball. Understands that there are other things that come with the job, but he's ready to get it going on the field. Muncy follows his single with a single of his own, and the Dodgers at first and second with one out.
And when after the All-Star break, second half, it's the same thing. You're going, okay, here's the new, turn the page, Want to get off to a good start in the second half, even though it's really not the half because they played so many games prior to the All-Star break. But you always look at the All-Star break as the next half. You have a little bit of break. You want to see if you're back in rhythm, get that first hit out of the way.
So 2 on with 1 out, and it's Matt Kemp taking strike 1. Kemp had a good All-Star experience, doubled his first time up, and finds himself right away in a spot where he's thrived this season. One of the best in baseball with runners in scoring position. Fouls it off, and it's 0-2. Well, the Brewers spent much of the first half in first place, but finished the first half with a 6-game losing streak, and now trailed the Cubs by 2.5 in the Central. Kemp lifts one the other way. That sends Broxton back to the warning track with room. Machado will advance to third, and they're at the corners with 2 out.
Well, the Dodgers come in today averaging 1.4 home runs here at Miller Park. Since Miller Park has been open, they're at the top as far as amount of home runs hit here from the opposing team. And they almost added to it on that fly ball to right field.
Those are 2 of the best home run hitting teams in baseball this season. The Dodgers not quite as reliant on the home run in recent weeks. Kike Hernandez here with 2 out. You say that, and you remember back to the last game of the first half, it was a home run from Hernandez that was the difference. He hit 16 during the first half, already a career high. Strike 1. One and one. Machado and Muncy with singles here in the first. And Hernandez against Wade Miley here with 2 out. Off of the hands to center. Lorenzo Cain will finish off a scoreless top of the first for Wade Miley and the Brewers. Rich Hill to the mound when you come back. $99 Jack Spicy Chicken Club combo with toasted sourdough, new from Jack in the Box. Back in Milwaukee, and the Brewers ready to bat for the first time tonight. At the top, Kane and Yelich. Their two offseason acquisitions have both been good. Jesus Aguilar was an all-star, leading the league in home runs. In the middle of the order, it's Shaw, Saladino, and Perez, with Pena doing the catching and Keon Broxton in right. For Rich Hill, the 6 games since his latest DL stint, he's been a whole lot better, with the ERA below 3.5. Prior to that, the ERA was north of 6. His first pitch of the night misses away to Lorenzo Cain.
Yeah, and you look at it, since he's come off the DL, he's thrown 30 2/3 innings, has 35 strikeouts just for 7 walks.
You talked about it off of the top. Home runs have been the story with him. And in his last start, while he went 7 innings against San Diego, he gave up 4 runs on 2 homers and took the loss. His 1-1 to Kane is a breaking pitch that's cut out and missed for strike 2.
And you were talking about that last half inning with the Dodgers. We were talking about the home runs they've hit here in Milwaukee. Well, they're facing the 3rd most home runs in the NL in the Milwaukee Brewers. But they haven't hit many against left-handed pitchers. When you look at their total, 124 home runs in the season. Only 23 have come against left-handed pitchers.
Put it all together, a little bit below average offensively. Lorenzo Cain leading things off and taking strike 3 on a perfectly placed fastball.
It's one of those, as a hitter, you see where the catcher catches the ball as you're looking back at it. You see that Austin wanted it down in the zone. It goes up. So you see the glove move that much as you follow that ball all the way into the catcher's mitt. You're going, that ball is high. That's not a strike. But when you go back and look at it again, and we can see that kind of in the K zone there, catches the corner.
Up comes Christian Yelich, an all-star for the first time here in his first year in Milwaukee. Part of that Marlins fire sale this offseason. Hill falls behind him 2-0. Yelich was one of the only hot hitters for the Brewers towards the end of that first half. 366 over his last 2 weeks. He digs this one out, sends it towards the right center field gap. On a bounce, it hits the bottom of the wall. Yelich with a 1-out double.
Well, he just hits. You're wondering if guys, they make the all-star team, start the second half, are they going to pick up where they left off? Christian Yelich, yes, he picks up right where he left off. Just stays on the ball. Lefty versus lefty, that doesn't matter. It doesn't play into his book. He goes out there and he just attacks and drives it to center field.
And all 3 hitters at the top of the order were all-stars for the National League this year, including this guy. Well, out of the 3, Cain, Yelich, and Aguilar, no doubt the least likely. He takes the first pitch low and inside, and it's 1-0. 24 home runs to lead the National League for a guy who's getting his first opportunity to be an everyday player here at the age of 28.
He's a small guy, so wondering where the power comes from.
Takes ball 2. Aguilar, former Cleveland Indian, played 35 games for the Indians over a 3-year stretch, but it just wasn't looking like he was going to get a full-time opportunity, so he asked to be released. The Indians did. He figured he'd go play in Japan or Korea. Swings and misses, 2-1. But the Brewers picked him up. Spent his first full year in the majors last year after 9 seasons, mostly in the minors. Even last year, though, he was a backup to Eric Thames at first. Got Yelich at second with 1 out, and on a 2-1, he takes strike 2. Usually not going to get the call when you miss your spot by that much.
Well, we've seen two already for Rich Hill. Look at where Austin Barnes is set up. He's looking for that fastball down and away, and the fact that you have to reach that far.
Now a 2-2. Trying to go to the outside corner, full count. On a payoff, Aguilar takes ball 4. First walk of the day issued by Hill, and they're at first and second with 1 out. So both teams have had this situation right off of the get-go with first and second and 1 out. Dodgers were unable to cash in. Travis Shaw with an opportunity here for the Brewers. Got the corner for strike 1 as they put the heavy shift on for Shaw.
This is also something that Machado can't necessarily just do in your first day here during batting practice, but seeing how people feed you for double play balls at second base. And then not only with, and also one thing is to practice with a guy. Usually during BP, you practice with them, you know, up the middle, your second baseman who you're going to play, see how he feeds it, try to get a view. But rarely do you go out there and say, hey, listen, I need the third baseman to practice and throw it to me because I'm doing the shift and I'm going to catch it from him, you know. There's just more now in the game with all of these shifts that you have to realize and try to go practice. And one batting practice before the game isn't going to do it.
1 ball, 2 strikes. Here comes Hill. And the count evens up. Now, Manny Machado, there's been some of it made about his defensive metrics at short being bad. But the consensus from people who watched him play every day in Baltimore is that those numbers are really skewed by being a very small sample size, just a half a season. Hill strikes out Shaw. 2 gone here in the first. You go back to his days at third base, a 2-time Gold Glover, not just Gold Gloves, but a Platinum Glove as the best fielder regardless of position. And plus, anybody that comes to the Dodgers talks about the boost that they get from the Dodgers' advanced positioning. Two on, 2 out, and Tyler Saladino celebrating his 29th birthday today. He takes a strike as Yelich steals third, something the Brewers do more than anybody. At the corners with 2 out.
Unfortunately for the Dodgers, Aguilar at first didn't recognize Yelich going and couldn't get a jump, so he ended up staying there.
Ball on a strike, and we check in with Alana.
Well, guys, we know that Manny Machado has played a significant amount of time with the Orioles at third base all of this year so far at the shortstop position. But Dave Roberts wants him to just focus on being the primary shortstop for the time being. Dave Roberts saying that he's not going to even have him take ground balls at third base for about 2 to 3 weeks. Wants him to be able to just get used to the shortstop position with these teammates and get acclimated to his new club.
Alana. Of course, there's Justin Turner, who's your everyday third baseman, but still dealing with managing that wrist. And right now, the hip and groin bothering him some. So potential to make some starts there moving forward. Not for a bit, though. Saladino swings over a curve, and Hill's out of a first inning jam, similar to the way Wade Miley operated after an inning in Milwaukee. No score. Manny Machado taking the number 8, previously worn by Bob Guerin. As Cody Bellinger takes strike 1 from Wade Miley. Never did ask Muncy about taking 13, which he'd worn for his entire career prior. Alana reported that he looked at 8 as kind of a fresh start. Bellinger pokes one down the line, foul, and it stays at 0-2. There's that, and more than him being a Cal Ripken Jr. guy, he's a big Kobe Bryant guy. In fact, such a big Kobe guy that he has a dog named Kobe, and hence number 8. That's no pitch. First time a Dodgers worn 8 since Shane Victorino in a short stay with the team a few years back. Bellinger lays off 1-2.
Really smart way to warm yourself to the fans. Why 8? Well, I like Kobe Bryant. And then they asked him, "Are you a LeBron fan?" He goes, "Yes, I am."
It's a good time to be an LA sports fan. Bellinger chases a fastball up, and Miley has his first strikeout of the game. So the Dodgers opening this second half 10 games above 500, but that is a long way from where they were in mid-May. 8.5 back, 10 games below. They got to 500 in early June, but kept on rolling through June and early July. The fastest team since 1955 to go from 10 games below 500 to 10 games over. Logan Forsythe taking ball 1.
Prior to that turnaround, it talked about this Dodger team just not being in sync. Offense would not be there when the pitching was there. And then when the pitching may have had some hiccups, the offense wasn't there. And I really think from the offensive side, things started to turn around when Justin Turner got off the DL. I think that's when things really started to click, just putting him in the lineup. And I think guys also started getting into a better rhythm, having better at-bats on a more consistent basis. But he definitely had an impact, despite whether his numbers may not be there, what we've seen since he's been in that Dodger uniform. The guys have felt it, and guys have seen it and have benefited. And now you add another great at-bat there in Manny Machado. And the key is when you have guys like that, that you just don't relax and just say, okay, these big bats, these guys now can carry us and we can relax here. Still got to do your job.
Forsythe grounds one to short. Saladino's there. 2 away here in the second. Yet almost corresponds exactly with when Turner came healthy, that 37-17 run. He was activated 2 days before they avoided the sweep that day in Miami and opened this stretch where they've been the best in the league. 2 gone in the second, and here's Austin Barnes. By the way, we are at some point here in the early innings going to visit with the general manager of the Dodgers, Farhan Zaidi. Get the inside take on how that deal went down. Two 2-0 on Barnes. Maybe even get a preview of what's still to come.
See how many more selfies Matt Kemp can get.
2-1. Barnes was a guy who showed some encouraging signs late in that first half. Dodgers very encouraged of chances that he can break out. He takes ball 3, back closer to the form of 2017 when he of course took over the starting job. Lifts one over short, but Saladino backs up and catches it, and Wade Miley's got a 1-2-3 second.
market regular season game live or on demand. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.tv to take advantage of this special offer.
Good thing they've got the shade there, and good thing Miller Park has a roof on it. Rain all weekend here in Milwaukee. In fact, rain for much of the road trip. Just looking ahead on the weather in Philadelphia and part of the time in Atlanta. Not so lucky as far as the roof in those two cities. Hopefully that forecast clears up as this 10-game road trip opens the second half. Hernan Perez to open the second inning for the Brewers. Rich Hill starts him with a fastball that catches the bottom of the zone, strike one. And so far it has been a very pitcher-friendly zone from a guy who's one of the more pitcher-friendly umpires in baseball, and Lance Barrett. Curve lands and it's 0-2. All 4 outs via the strikeout for Hill so far.
We touched on it coming into the game. Rich Hill, he's coming off the DL. He's had approximately 35 strikeouts in 30 innings. More effective getting that strikeout. He's also limited his walks more compared to prior to him going on the DL.
Here's Manny Pena, ball one.
The one thing he has done really well is limited the batting average against with runners in scoring position. And we saw that last inning coming into today's game. They're hitting just 100 off of him with runners in scoring position.
And the Brewers in that first at first and second with 1 out. He was able to get out of it, holding true to form. Ahead of Pena, 1-2. First game back for Pena. It's really no wonder the Brewers have lost several games in a row coming into this second half. Really awful injury luck lately. In fact, they entered the second half with 7 players on the disabled list, including Pena, who had missed the last week of the first half with a biceps injury. He takes, and it's 2-2. No Ryan Braun right now. No Eric Thames. VR's out. They've had pitching injury issues all year. It's a softly hit bouncer to Forsythe at second. Measures it up and throws him out, 2 away.
Dodger fans going, yeah, we know how you feel over there, Milwaukee. Dodger fans have experienced the same thing. The amount of injuries the Dodgers have had as well. And I guarantee you, both these teams, both these managers are going to say nobody's going to feel sorry for them. Got to go out there, get through the season, show off the depth of the organization to get through it.
Here's Keon Broxton with 2 out. The base is empty. Broxton back in the majors largely because of those injuries. Fastball for strike one. It's a guy who hit 20 home runs last year. Everyday center fielder. Started the season in the minors with the 2 big acquisitions this offseason in Kane and Yelich. And just came back up in late June. Laid in a fastball, 1-2. Looks like Farhan Zaidi is going to join us for the top of the third. We'll get him to break down Rich Hill's bunting prowess, perhaps, with Rich Hill leading off that inning. Bill Taylor Machado. A 2-2. Curve breaks inside, and Broxton able to lay off. 2-out walk. Second walk issued by Hill today, and Wade Miley will bat here in the second.
Rich Hill really frustrated with himself, and rightly so. Walking the 8-hitter, turning the lineup over to get Wade Miley up to the plate.
Pops the first pitch up. Austin Barnes makes the call and the catch. And that's that in the second. No score here in Milwaukee. I would ask you how your All-Star break was, but I think I know the answer. I think it was a pretty good few days for you guys, huh?
Yeah, no, it was fun. My wife wasn't too happy that I spent the whole break on the phone, but other than that, we're very happy with the results, obviously.
Take us behind how something like this goes down. How does the talk even begin?
Well, we'd been talking to the Orioles about Manny for really the greater course of a month. You know, I think around mid-June was when they decided to start stepping up the conversations with the idea of doing something at some point this month, whether it was at the All-Star break or at the deadline, and things just went from there.
And then for you, did it feel like for the Dodgers be great to get it right after the All-Star break, especially seeing the teams in the fact that you guys have 17 games here in a row to start the second half?
Exactly, and that, you know, we tried to make a push over this last week, you know, hopefully to get Manny in the fold, you know, for this road trip. And, you know, this is exactly what we envisioned. Rich Hill leading off an inning and knowing that Machado's coming up 2 hitters behind him.
We joked around. We knew you were in the booth ready to join us, and you could maybe break down Rich Hill and his bunting prowess. Is there something in the numbers that tells us Rich should be a guy that bunts for hits?
Yeah, I mean, I see him shadow bunting in the clubhouse a lot now. I mean, so he really works at his craft.
Bouncer to second. Hernan Perez is there.
I know we joke about it, but the one thing about Rich Hill is that he does go work out and he says, listen, I'm going to try to do something. I'm going to try to put the ball in play. I don't want to be just an easy out. He'll just like that when he'll shorten up, he'll put it in play, he'll do something. So
yeah, I mean, you love it. I mean, I agree. Like, he's determined to do whatever he can to help the team win, and if it's make it a little difficult for the defense to get him out as opposed to, you know, just hitting a routine fly out or striking out, I like it too.
He's the first out here in the third. Back to the top of the order, and Chris Taylor. Of course, there are two sides to everything. There's Machado coming to the Dodgers, but that also meant 5 prospects heading to the Orioles. What's the process like to arrive at those 5 players, and how difficult is that?
Yeah, it's tough, and you know, they always say in a deal like this, you know, it's got to, and it's going to hurt a little, and certainly in this case, giving up guys that our scouting department did such a great job identifying.
Into the gap in left center, and Chris Taylor on his way to second with a 1-out double.
You know, that process is tough, and we gave up 5 guys that, you know, we thought would be contributors to us potentially at the major league level at some point going forward. But, you know, knowing what this team was capable of doing in 2018 and knowing the impact that Manny could have in that effort made it worth it for us.
Here comes Machado to the plate. How good is it to see him in a Dodger uniform? I imagine you've pictured this in recent weeks.
Yeah, no, it's surreal and it's exciting. I mean, you know, we put a lot of work in behind the scenes, but, you know, today seeing him in that Dodger uniform feels like, I'm sure, what the fan experience is like to see him put on that uniform.
And the fact that you were there next to him for the press conference, was that kind of a little break for you for the phone because you didn't have to be on it rather than
You're right. I didn't have to answer the phone while I was up there. You know, I told Manny, you know, when you come to Los Angeles, they make you do these. You know, even I had to do one. So he did a great job, though.
Takes it low, and it's 2-0. Having his best season, just about every statistical category. Lowest strikeout rate of his career, highest walk rate of his career. Taylor at second and 1 out. He takes ball 3. Throw back to second, not in time.
You know, we joke about you taking a break, but I'm sure there's still, you get right back at it on the phone, and there's still other areas you wish to address, maybe hopefully prior before the trade deadline.
Absolutely. You know, I think our position player side we feel pretty good about. I think Doc would lie in front of the tracks before we brought another hitter, and he's going to have a tough enough time making the lineup out with all the guys we have now and the guys that deserve to be playing every day. But certainly on the pitching side of the ledger, you know, there's always ways you can improve. There's always a bullpen arm, maybe with some experience that could add to the mix we have. And so that's probably going to be more of our focus these last 2 weeks before the deadline.
And how about the trickle down of Machado as far as the lineup at this point? You mentioned Dave Roberts has his hands full trying to keep everybody happy, get everybody in there. As Machado takes a 4-pitch walk, what does it look like in the short term for the lineup?
Yeah, you know, one of the things that we try to do is you know, certainly keep the lineup rested and get guys days off every once in a while to keep everyone fresh over the grind of the season. And, you know, when you have 9 guys that deserve to be in the lineup every day that you feel good about, I mean,
yeah,
in a sense, it just gives you a rotation, you know, to allow you to do that. And, you know, I imagine us doing that, especially when you're in a stretch like we are now with 17 games in 17 days, where everybody can get a day off or two, and it'll still feel like a lot of guys are getting everyday at bats.
And you've been around this game for a while. I don't think there's any manager who complains that, oh, I have too many guys that deserve
Sometimes
to play.
they do, though.
It's a good luxury to have.
Yeah.
Here's Muncy getting hit by the first pitch from Miley to load the bases here in the third.
Yeah, I remember one manager that I was working with who will remain nameless, but you know, kind of brought up a situation like this where he's having to juggle guys, and we said, hey, this is a good problem to have, and he was like, yeah, but it is a problem.
Yeah.
So.
Matt Kemp comes up with the bases loaded. Muncy, who just wore that first pitch and is now aboard, was a guy that you had in Oakland. How gratifying has it been to see him turn into the player that he's turned into?
Yeah, I mean, you know, Max has done an incredible job of coming over here and building, you know, a really impressive resume with what he's done. And, you know, for us, it was just a nice flyer on a guy who had, you know, some.
That one didn't touch the bat, and so Chris Taylor is going to come in to score. One that gets by Manny Pena, and the Dodgers on the board here in the third.
You know, a guy in Max who had, you know, really good college pedigree and played well in the lower minors, and then, you know, got a little caught up in the up and down game, in, you know, in 2015 and 16 in Oakland. So, you know, I give him all the credit, and every time people try to give us credit for identifying him, I say if we were that smart, we would put him on the opening day roster. But for some reason, he spent 3 weeks in AAA when he could have been helping us. So, you know, all credits to him and our player development and coaching staff. They've done a great job with him.
Did you have any sense that he was making some of the subtle changes that he was making between the time that he was released by Oakland and the time that you made the call to bring him to the Dodgers?
You know what? As far as that goes, I think it was more a flyer. You know, knowing Max a little bit like I did, you know, I knew he was a smart baseball player and a guy who knew the strike zone really well and had a history of hitting for power. So you thought those ingredients could come together, and I really think they did. Last year in AAA, he had such a good season, and the reports were so positive. You know, at the end of last season, you know, I did think that he could be a contributor at the big league level. You know, did I think he'd be hitting 17 homers in the home run derby in the first round, going up against those other guys? I don't think anybody did, but he really took a step forward last year.
You just said you did. You're like, I knew that.
Camp taps one back to the mound, and Miley's going to go to first. But they now tag Muncy out at second and end the inning. Farhan, we appreciate the time again. Congratulations on the acquisition. Best of luck moving towards the deadline.
Thanks a lot, guys. Appreciate it.
Position players talk about how much they love playing here. They say the ball flies and they love the batter's eye. But Rich Hill, in a conversation I had with him earlier today, said he absolutely loves pitching here. He described the mound at Miller Park as perfect. He also has a couple of milestones in his veteran career. He said he picked up his first win here, as well as picking up his first hit.
Great stuff, Alana. Of course, as a member of the Chicago Cubs to open his career. He starts Lorenzo Cain with a strike. You had a different opinion of this place. A lot of guys do talk about it being a good hitter's park and having a good backdrop. That's chopper to third. Easy play for Muncy. Cain the first out of the inning. You said that this was not even close. The worst place to hit for you as far as the way you saw the ball.
Yes, and listen, it is a great batter's eye. It is a hitter's ballpark. All of that, it comes into play. But for me, for some reason, and is that just for the lighting inside here, it took me a couple of days for my eyes to really adjust. I wasn't able to really pick up the spin of the baseball coming out of the pitcher's hand for whatever reason. I don't know if it's in contrast with the lights, maybe the grayness of the.
It's Yelich towards the corner. Taylor a long way to go, and he makes the catch in his first game of the season and left.
And despite how whether I could see or not, Chris Taylor could see the ball. That's all that matters, right? Because that was a great play out there in left field. Line drive off of Yelich's bat, and it's going away, especially off a left-handed hitter, tailing away, staying on it. And you know that there's not much foul territory over there down the line. You know the surroundings. You recognize that at batting practice, but to stay on it at full speed and come up with a catch, great job by Chris Taylor.
It's easy to forget that. But last year he spent as much time in left as he did in center, so some familiarity there. With 2 out, Jesus Aguilar takes ball 1. You were never a guy that was going to ask for a day off, but
nope.
You'd maybe hit, hey, if you're thinking of giving me one.
I didn't ask for one. I told managers, I said, I won't ask for one, but I won't say no to one. And so you decide whatever you see. And then, but I would say, but, so manager, I go, but if we're going to Miller Park and you were thinking about one, not a bad place because I have trouble seeing there. At least, like I said, it takes me like that first couple of days. And then maybe like the 3rd day, I'm able to see it a little better. But then we're leaving.
1 and 2. You notice probably a moment ago they opened the back windows of the ballpark. They're not going to open the roof just because there still is a chance of rain in the area. But with the conditions pretty fair right now, they've opened up the back and it totally changes the way that it feels in here. Full count. On a 3-2, Aguilar. It's a breaking ball and the ground is short. There's Machado with his first chance defensively. He throws him out to finish a 9-pitch inning for Hill. For the BMW Summer On Sales event for exceptional offers. Details at SoCalBMW.com. And by Carl's Jr., the tempting El Diablo Thick Burger is returned to Carl's Jr. Pick it up before it's gone. Well, the whole staff, in addition to the 3 Dodger All-Stars in D.C. this week. Sound like everybody had a great time. Memorable experience for all those involved. As Wade Miley misses with his first pitch to Kike Hernandez. In a 1-0 game here in the 4th. Grounded off of the hands. And short Saladino. Well, the Dodgers got a run in the 3rd, Nomar, but they had a chance for more before a funky play finished that inning off.
Yeah, there's 2 things that fall here. Obviously, it was base running fall. You got the Matt Kemp hit that ground ball. You see how Machado stops at 3rd, and they're able to double up Muncy going on that ball. Now, a couple of things here. You can say, well, what was Muncy doing? One, you have to run with your head up and see if the guy goes. That is true, but there are times right before the ball is even hit, the 3rd base coach is giving you a sign, and he's letting you know at 2nd base if the guy at 3rd is going on contact or not, so you can also break as well on contact. Now, if that sign was given, then Muncy did the right thing, and there was a mistake at 3rd base by Machado. Don't know if that sign was given or not, but either way, you know, Muncy's caught in no man's land. That's something that would have to be asked afterwards on where the mistake was.
Bellinger slaps one against the shift for a 1-out hit. done so often lately. And here's Forsythe. Wade Miley, 31 years of age now. Dodger fans most remember him probably from his time in Arizona. He's a former first-round pick of the Diamondbacks. And as a rookie in 2012, he was an all-star. Finished runner-up to Bryce Harper for Rookie of the Year that year. He's bounced around since. In his 8th year now with his 5th different team. Time with the Red Sox, the Mariners, last couple of years with the Orioles, but has really struggled. In fact, the 3rd worst earned run average in baseball the last 3 years. This is inside, and it's 1-1 on Forsythe. Couldn't figure out why he'd lost his ability to throw strikes, because he'd always been a control guy. And so after last year, he took video of his delivery home to a coach from his childhood, and together they watched it and tried to find any issues they could. Forsythe in the air to right. Keon Broxton is there for out number 2. He just figured that he'd gotten overly rotational. He had lost his release point, wasn't consistent anymore with it. The hope for him and for the Brewers, who signed him to a minor league contract this offseason, was that he had kind of rediscovered whatever it was that allowed him to be so accurate early on in his career. Just hasn't stayed healthy enough for them to find out yet. 2 gone for Barnes. Oh, and 1. Oh, and 2. Barnes takes slow and in. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
It's a breaking ball by Wade Miley, and that's one of the things that just hasn't been sharp today. We talked about coming in, how he's walked quite a few batters in his short stint this year. This just being his 4th start of the season. But his off speed has not been sharp today. He's just 7 of 14 for strikes. He's allowed 2 hits on his off speed. So a better command with the fastball. That last inning, it looked like he might have lost it a little bit by walking Machado on 4 pitches and then hitting Max Muncy.
Barnes yanks one to third. That's caught by Shaw. There to time it up, and did so successfully. A scoreless 4th for the Dodgers after this play from Shaw. To the bottom half we go. 1-0.
season. Retrace the beginning of Matt Kemp's resurgence and relive Chase Utley's reunion with Devin Smeltzer, a cancer survivor turned Dodgers prospect. Don't miss Backstage Dodgers presented by Cadillac tonight after the postgame show on Sportsnet LA.
This game moves to the bottom of the fourth. Rich Hill and the Dodgers with a 1-0 lead on a wild pitch back in the third. Hill, meanwhile, has given up a hit and 2 walks, but no damage. In the middle third of the order for the Brewers here in the fourth, with Travis Shaw to lead things off. Shaw watches a curve break in for a strike. He's the son of a former Dodger, Jeff Shaw. Pitched for the Dodgers in the late 90s, early 2000s. Had an all-star season for the Dodgers in 01. His son is behind 0-2 on a pair of curveballs. Those two talk after almost every game still. Travis says Jeff shaped him into the big leaguer that he is. Still routinely throws him BP. Stands very close, about 40 feet, and Jeff still cranks it up. Try and simulate the velocity that Travis will see in the real thing. Travis himself has always been a position player. Never really had much interest in pitching like Dad. He looks at a fastball for strike 3 to the outside corner. Hill has his 5th K. Rich Hill in his 7th start now off of the disabled list, and the disabled list has been a big part of the story for the Dodgers. A big reason they got off to as slow of a start as they did, with a big one in April. Corey Seager out for the season with a Tommy John surgery, and there's too much on there to go through piece by piece. But the point is, been able to overcome a lot, especially once he got past the Seager injury and he got Turner back, especially to the starting rotation, where you had 4 of the 5 members from the season opening rotation just a month ago that were out. It's 0-1 on Tyler Saladino. And now, Nomar, you're looking at trying to find enough spots in the rotation for all the healthy pitchers.
I was just going to say that. You go from looking for starters, who's going to step up, step in, where are they going to get them to. Now they're talking about a 6-man rotation for this next 17 game stretch. Very similar to the turnaround we've seen this Dodger team take, where they were struggling early. We talked about earlier being 10 games under 500 and then turn that around to being over 10 games 500. Here they were 9.5 games back. Now they find themselves coming into today half game up in the division. Big turnaround.
Big curve gets Saladino, and back-to-back Ks to open this 4th for Hill. Let's go down to Alana.
And guys, you were talking about where does everybody fit in as far as healthy starters are concerned. Walker Buehler has spent some time on that disabled list. Most recently, though, he's healthy and was optioned to AAA Oklahoma City. To keep him fresh, Walker Buehler will be throwing a 5-inning simulated game tomorrow for the Oklahoma City Dodgers. Dave Roberts not exactly committing to when he might be back at the big league level and back in that rotation or out of the pen.
All right, Alana. Hernan Perez fouls off the first pitch from Hill. It's a good problem to have. Much better problem than when the whole staff was on the DL.
Most definitely. I know Farhan we talked to him a little while ago, and we brought that up to him, and he says, yeah, but still a problem. But at the same time, it's easy to say it's a problem right now, but it really isn't. I guarantee you Dave Roberts is not complaining to have that. Yes, it's something that they may have to figure out. But I don't think he's too worried about it right now. He's just happy to see guys healthy.
Now that's not even to mention Hyun-Jin Ryu, who's working his way back and was probably the Dodgers' best pitcher over the first month and a half before his injury. And that's not to mention Julio Urias, who hopes to contribute at some point this year as well. Another 0-2. And Hill strikes out the side in the 4th. He's got 7 total and has a 1-0 lead to the 5th in Milwaukee. empower the drive. First time All-Star in the middle, couple three-time All-Stars flanking him. Kemp, Stripling, and Jansen. Rich Hill to lead off this fifth inning for the Dodgers. They lead at 1-0. Joe, Nomar, and Alana, glad you're with us for the start of this 10-game road trip and the start of this second half as Wade Miley pours in a strike to Hill. Start of the games after the All-Star break. It's way past the halfway point. Isn't it crazy though? 96 games into the year already.
Yeah, I mean it's really it's hard to say second half. You say the part after the All-Star, starting up after they reset, after they got a little bit of a break. Right, guys probably say, you know, second part of the break. I guess I don't even know because we're so used to saying half.
Chris Taylor coming up, and we take a look at StatCast AI powered by AWS on that play he made and left a couple of innings ago.
Seeing how far his sprint, break down his sprint speed, distance.
Scored the lone Dodger run back in the third after doubling. Came in on a wild pitch. It's a versatility of guys like Chris Taylor that helps the Dodgers in a situation with a very crowded roster. Tries to bunt for a hit. Nice play by Pena. 2 up and 2 down here in the fifth.
I saw him lay that bunt down, and he actually took a peek right before that pitch to see where they were playing. Watch right here. You look at him, kind of takes a peek over there, third base, looks, but the unfortunate part, he didn't get the bat angle the way he wanted to get it over to third base, because he was right. The third base was playing deep, well behind the base. He gets it down over there, even, especially when you got a lefty on the mound and he's falling toward third base. You really want to make sure, get that angle. And even if you bunted it hard, you would have been safe at first.
So with the bases empty, Machado has reached both times in his Dodger debut. Takes ball 1. He's seen 8 pitches. 7 of them have been balls. The 1 strike put in play for a base hit. On a 1-0 pitch. He looks at ball 2. I mentioned it his last time up, but the walk rate is at a career best mark. Miley not giving him anything close to hit. .30. Ball 4. Second walk from Machado. He's been on all 3 times. And up comes Max Muncy. It's time for Built for Baseball, brought to you by T-Mobile. Sure was fun watching him in the home run derby Monday night, wasn't it?
Oh, it was so exciting. I really do like this format of the home run derby, where it's more time, where you see more home runs. Guy can get after you. I think more and more you are seeing how close it comes, and see guys down the stretch because their time is running out. So got to get them in. Let's go. Keep hitting them. And he did that. And he put on a great show. It was really fun to watch.
Beat Javier Baez in the first round, and then fell to Bryce Harper, who was on a mission from God that night in the semifinal. Here he takes strike 1. Max says that he was more nervous for the home run derby than he was for his major league debut. Grounds 1 right side, past to diving Aguilar. Perez waiting in short right. And Miley beats Muncy to the bag. Max immediately points over to the dugout and says, hold on, let's take a look.
Huh. It's one of those that they're going to take a look. It's close. Oh, did he get that toe on there? Or Wade Miley?
They're going to say play on.
Oh, yeah. Wow. That was some athleticism right there by Wade Miley to slide there and get him out.
And Rich Hill has been fantastic. Struck out the side last inning. He has 7 Ks total tonight. Manny Pena, bottom third of the Brewers order. First pitch curve in for a strike. And that is now 14 consecutive strikes thrown by Rich Hill. The first inning gave up a double and issued a walk. Since then, 80% strikes. Fastball, like it is when Rich Hill is at his best, is looking like a heck of a lot harder than 91 to these hitters.
Especially when you see all those curveballs that he throws you, and then the curveballs, where they start or where they break. You got some that break up high.
Line drive to left. Pena with a base hit to start the 5th.
Some that break in the middle for a base hit. But no, I mean, we've seen him get that high strike for a breaking ball. We've seen him get them down and in. We've seen him get the corners. So that means that break is starting in different places. So you set your eyes in those places. You know he throws you a lot of curveball. And then all of a sudden he throws you a 91-mile-an-hour fastball. It definitely looks a lot harder than that.
Keon Broxton has one of the 2 Brewers walks tonight. His walk in the second, the last base runner the Brewers have before Pena's single. One and 0. Broxton shows bunt and takes ball 2. Strike 1. Broxton, a former heralded prospect for the Brewers. I think a lot of people kind of had the Brewers right here at this point in time. They figured they'd be competing for divisions in 2018, but a lot of the guys that they thought would be part of that are not. Broxton looks at strike 2. You've got Broxton, who they figure to be part of the future. He just came up a couple weeks ago. They've acquired players that have taken his spot. Domingo Santana was a big part of last season. Orlando Arcia, both those guys in AAA at this point. That's inside, and the count goes full. So a different cast of characters that they thought that they'd have. But the script is going to plan. The Brewers are hoping that they can make the postseason for the first time since 2011. Hill's payoff. That's the second time he's walked Broxton, and the first 2 reach for Milwaukee in the 5th. Time now for the Land Rover Performance Spotlight. One of the reasons the Brewers are having such a good season is they've been very good in their own ballpark. The Dodgers have been one of the best teams in baseball on the road, especially when you go back to that separator point in mid-May. 17-6 away from home since then. Now it's the pitcher Miley in a sacrifice situation, but he pulls it back and slaps a base hit to left center. Oh, bad read from Pena, and it leads to more trouble on the bases. What was Manny Pena doing? Broxton is the first out of the inning after inexplicably Manny Pena stopped at third.
Well, Wade Miley executes this perfectly, especially how open the middle part of the field. But the reason why you have Pena at third holding up, you have the third base coach holding him up at third base on that one, especially with Kike charging the ball so hard. He was holding him up. Broxton wasn't. He was just running hard. And that's, you got to run with your head up and recognize that as well. But Broxton was thinking, oh, he's scoring and I'm going to get to third. Good job by Kike Hernandez, charging it hard and then running it all the way in.
And now ball on Kane. So my apologies to Pena, who is held by Ed Cedar. And it becomes Broxton's mistake on the bases that leads to the first out. Kane hits it foul, and it's 1-1.
For Rich Hill, this would be huge if they're able to capitalize on the mistake on the base pass right now, get that double play and get himself out of it.
And you touched on it. This is where Hill has been especially good this year. Opponents below 100 with men in scoring position. He's ahead of Kane, 1-2.
Hey, go back to Wade Miley. That was executed perfectly. The slash, you know, squaring around the bunt. You have the corners crashing down on him. The one who just left his position, you know, shortstop going over, trying to possibly get that force out over at third base, rightly so. And he puts it in the perfect spot.
One, two. Kane takes it low, and the count evens at 2-2. On the All-Star, Lorenzo Cain, who's having a huge first season back in Milwaukee. Yes, back in Milwaukee. He was drafted by the Brewers and debuted here in 2010 before traded off to the Royals. Hill gets a big strikeout and 2 gone in the 5th.
Just gets him with the fastball, climbing up the ladder there on the outer half. Great pitch, gets him chasing. It was off the plate. Now this is where you can't give in here. You have to be really smart. Talked about how good Christian Yelich has been swinging the bat. Already has a nice double off of him in his first at bat into right center. Base opens at second, but you got to look at it still as a base open. But it's a challenge because you also have Aguilar right behind him. They're facing 3 All-Stars in a row here.
First pitch curve ripped down the line. This game is tied as Pena scores easily. Into the corner to dig it out is Kemp. Miley's given the wave. Relay to the plate in time. Logan Forsythe from Matt Kemp to cut Miley down and keep the game tied at 1.
This is just an unbelievable relay by the Dodgers. Matt Kemp getting to this ball, hitting his cutoff. And what a great relay by Logan Forsythe on the money out at home. Logan Forsythe, the adjustment, moving the feet, taking his momentum to that throw from Matt Kemp, adjusting, and then as you're adjusting to throw the ball at home plate on the line and a strike to home plate to get the pitcher running and trying to score from first base. Just good defense all around.
Now Miley's got to catch his breath after that romp around the bases. He's going to have to catch it in a hurry with the heart of the Dodge order coming up against him here. Miley out of Louisiana, out of an unincorporated town, just a tiny spot, Laranger, Louisiana. It's in the southeastern part of the state. They've got a couple grocery stores there. They've got a donut shop. They have more donut shops than they have stoplights. 0 stoplight town. Grew up there, a big hunter. Started hunting when he was 3 years old. Jackrabbit hunting was his big thing as a young kid. First round pick out of Louisiana years back. 1-1 game here in the 6th. And you can relive the excitement of last year's World Series when the Dodgers and Astros play from the 3rd through the 5th of August. Weekend begins with Friday night fireworks presented by Denny's and closes on Sunday that weekend with the Junior Dodgers backpack giveaway from Haichu. Go to Dodgers.com/promotions to learn more. It's Kemp, Hernandez, and Bellinger against Miley here in the 6th. First pitch curve for a strike. Kemp is 0 for 2 and probably like to have his last at bat back. Miley had thrown 8 consecutive balls, including 3-0 on Kemp. Kemp swung at what would have been ball 4 and turned into a double play, squashing a potential rally. On this 1-1, he hits ground ball to the left side, and it's short. Saladino for the first out.
Yeah, you definitely, as a hitter, are frustrated or mad at yourself. You touched on it, 3-0, and then you hit that ball. You take a check swing, not a whole, kind of a half-hearted swing because you thought it was another pitch. You got fooled on it, 3-0, and then you ended up putting it in play. You get that double play. So you battle with yourself to try to say, okay, I can't make up with it with one swing, and you try to stay within yourself.
One game in the 6th. Kike Hernandez 0 for 2 today with a flyout and a ground out. Miley pitches. Hernandez takes ball 1. Popped up. Hernan Perez. 2 out. And here's Bellinger. His 4th inning single is the last Dodger hit against Miley. Swings away at the first pitch. That will become a souvenir, and it's 0-1. This hit came through the left side with the shift on. More and more, and you can see why teams continue to shift him, but more and more we've seen Bellinger go the other way.
Right. At 13%, at 6%, just keep increasing that, staying on the ball. And sometimes it can work in your favor, this shift, not just because there's holes for the obvious reason, but let's say you're having struggles mechanically, like you're pulling off of the ball, but it's just a reminder to stay on it. And I think what we've seen him just kind of staying on the ball a little bit more, hitting it over there. I don't know if it's necessarily just to beat the shift. I think it's more just to stop pulling off of the ball as much as possible and staying on it a little longer.
Remember the World Series last year when he was really slumping, went into a game saying, I'm just going to try to Go the other way. Set my sights the other way. He homered that night. Went on a nice little run.
Well, that was his best game during that time. And then it stopped after that. It seemed like he didn't try it again.
Deflects off Miley, then off Saladino at short, and his throw is late. So Bellinger's aboard with 2 out. We'll see how this one is ruled.
And he hits this one hard back up the middle, and I'll tell you, that ball, when it hit the dirt, it kind of kicked to Saladino's right. It didn't go right when he hit it. It was going right for his glove, and that's why Saladino ended up missing it, because when it hit to dirt, he had to actually move his hands and go to the right for it, because that's the way it kicked a little bit, and ended up handcuffing him a little bit and not coming up with it.
It is ruled a base hit. Second of the night for Bellinger. This was never one of the truer surfaces for an infielder. I don't know that probably had to do with the way that it hit Miley.
Yeah, I don't even know if it hit. Miley just got out of the way. It just
didn't even hit him.
It didn't even hit him. He just got out of the way. I mean, this is a ball that, coming off a left-handed bat, and it has a, when it's coming off a left-handed bat, but up the middle, it's usually going straight. Usually in the air do you see it kind of having that kick. But watch this one, it misses Miley. He gets out of the way, misses him, but when it hits there, that's when it got Saladino. And even you saw Cody kind of like, all right, I'm out. He didn't run hard until we saw him miss it.
Logan Forsythe, 1-0. Tied at 1 in the 6th. Dodgers getting their run in the 3rd on a wild pitch. Brewers tying the score in the bottom of the 5th on a 2-out double from Yelich. And for the Brewers, very encouraging stuff tonight from Wade Miley. Backdoors him for strike 1. It's amazing the Brewers have had the season that they've had, 55 and 43. Not just the injuries to the lineup, but to the starting rotation, which already was not supposed to be very good. It's been decimated. 2-1. So they're hoping that Miley can become a guy to help them down the stretch as they try to chase the Cubs down in the division. And Milwaukee very much in the market for starting pitching through trades. Ground ball to 3rd, Travis Shaw. That's that for the Dodgers in the 6th. We go to the bottom half, tied at 1.
Chill, been very effective. 5 of his 8 Ks have come with that curveball. 3 of those 8 Ks he's been able to get them looking, catching the corners, getting the swings and misses. We've also seen how that curveball has also set up his 91-mile-an-hour fastball, and it seems like it's overpowering at times because you don't know what he's going to be throwing.
In a tie game in the 6th, they'll face 3, 4, and 5 in the Brewers' order. Hill against Jesus Aguilar. Walked his first time and then grounded to short. 28-year-old getting his first chance to be an everyday player, taking full advantage. Hitting the first pitch sky high, almost roof high. In center field, Hernandez calling off Kemp and adjusting at the last moment with a smile on his face. 1 away. Now to the heart of this Brewers order, Shaw, Saladino, and Perez, 4 through 6 combined, have done nothing but strike out. 0 for 6. 6 Ks. One ball, no strikes. Two and up. No falls behind 3-0. Travis Shaw. Strike one. The Brewers already picked up a half game in the division today, with the Cubs getting throttled by the Cardinals 18-5. And did you see what Matt Carpenter did?
I only heard about part of it. I don't know. I didn't see it.
That's ball 4. Shaw's aboard with 1 out. He went 5 for 5, Nomar, with 3 home runs and 2 doubles. And then was taken out of the game after the 6th inning. 3 total bases short of matching Sean Green's major league record, which of course was set in the Dodger uniform in this ballpark. 19 total bases in 1 game. El Bencho.
Get some rest. 5 for 5, having a good day. El Bencho, go watch the rest of the game, cheer on your team.
1 out base runner for Saladino. Chops it foul. That, of course, is their interim manager in St. Louis, Mike Schilt. Took over for Mike Matheny.
Schilt and Sean Green are really good friends. Sean Green texted him. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, right. Yeah. He's getting close. He's getting scary. Get him out of there. Another than 2. Saladino started this season with the Chicago White Sox. He was a starter a couple years ago, but now they have Tim Anderson at short. They have Yohan Moncada at second. Saladino really didn't have a spot anymore. Found a home here in Milwaukee. On 3 pitches, Hill sits him down with his 9th strikeout of the night.
Once again, it was a curveball. We were just showing that prior to this inning, how effective that curveball has been for Rich Hill to get the strikeouts.
Eric Goodell warming in the Dodger bullpen. Both starters very good tonight. Hill for the Dodgers, Miley for the Brewers. Curve misses to Hernan Perez. Speaking of starters, final 2 games of this series, Kershaw and Chase Anderson tomorrow. Alex Wood, Brent Suter in the finale Sunday afternoon. ball and a strike. After that, the Dodgers head to Philly. What's the pitching looking like for there, Alana?
Well, Dave Roberts telling us earlier today, guys, that he does know that right-handers Kenta Maeda and Ross Stripling will pitch in that 3-game series against the Philadelphia Phillies, but he wasn't certain, or at least didn't want to make it public, as to the order of which they would pitch and who the third guy was going to be.
Perez with a base hit to center. Shaw to second. 2 on with 2 out. Of course, one of the lead candidates for one of those games in Philly could be Walker Buehler. From there to Atlanta for a 4-game series with the Braves to wrap up this 10-game trip. As Manny Pena comes up with 2 out, we take a look at our Dodger calendar presented by Nissan. You know, when the schedule came out in the offseason, this trip looked like kind of a nice way to ease into the year. But everybody exceeding expectations and facing 3 teams that are in the playoff picture at this point: the Brewers, the Phillies, and the Braves. Then they go home, Brewers and Astros. 1-0 on Pena.
Yes, it doesn't get much easier when you come off of this road trip. We talked about they're playing 17 games straight right after the break, all against top teams. And when we had Farhan Zaidi here, we talked about how that been even a factor to try to get this trade before this break, possibly have Machado for this run. And he said yes.
And it even goes a little bit farther than those 17. They then go to Oakland for a 2-game series. And don't look now, but the A's are the hottest team in baseball. And so the first 19 games of this second half for the Dodgers all come against teams that have better records than the Dodgers currently do. Heck of a month. Bills 1-0. Ball 2.
That's true. You wouldn't have said that prior to the season when you looked at that all these teams going in, you're going to face 19 teams in a row that have a better record than the Dodgers.
Three and 0. Bill spot due up second next inning in the order. Dave Roberts would love to get him through this 6th. The game tied at 1. Shaw at second. Perez at first. Manny Pena takes a low strike. 3-1.
Something you see quite often, right? A 3-0 breaking ball. 7th hitter in the lineup, and to see how confident Rich Hill is with his breaking ball.
Now 3-1. Goes back to it. Full count.
We were talking about it earlier with that breaking ball. This is what makes his fastball effective, or seem like it's farther than what the radar gun is saying, because he mixes it up all over the strike zone.
Runners take off. Another curve and a fly ball to left center field that is easily playable for whoever wants it. It's Taylor, and the inning is over. Hill with 6 innings of 1-run ball. To the late innings we go in Milwaukee. To you by Nissan. Choose Nissan today for great offers on our most exciting lineup ever. Shop ChooseNissan.com. Sausage race tradition here at Miller Park. Which sausage is that winning? Do you know?
Nope.
Nope. 1-1 game. Rich Hill's night is over. He goes 6 innings and strikes out 9.
Definitely was effective today. And Miley, the same thing, holding the Dodgers to just 1 run as they bring in a new pitcher.
It is Taylor Williams who's in, who's out, brought to you by In-N-Out. Wade Miley's night is done as well. Turns it over to what has been the biggest strength for the Brewers this season, and that is their pen, but a very heavily used bullpen that struggled over the last 2 weeks before the break. Pinch hitting for Austin Barnes is Yasmani Grandal. He takes ball 1. Grandal having a huge start to July. Line drive center field, leadoff hit. Grandal's great month continues with a pinch hit single. Yasmani Grandal with a #1 on base percentage in baseball this month. It's a nice greeting down there from Aguilar.
Didn't start the game, but everybody's fresh, especially coming off of the break.
Same can be said for Chase Utley, who's put together a nice run himself, kind of corresponding with his retirement announcement. He says he's at ease at this point, having announced that publicly. Utley, in his last 9 plate appearances of the first half, reached in 6 of them. Strike 1. Part of the timing of the announcement for him was that the final trip for him to Philadelphia will come on this road trip. Can't wait to see the reception he gets in Philly on Monday.
I'm sure it's just going to be a great, warm, and well-deserved reception.
Chase Utley, 39-year-old, who has set such a wonderful example for so many of the young guys in the organization, so many young guys in Philadelphia before he was traded to the Dodgers. It's a story that goes back to when Chase was 11 years old. Complained to his dad about a Little League teammate of his who bragged a lot. His dad, Dave, said to Chase, look, if you're really good at something, you don't have to tell them. They'll tell you. And that stuck with Chase. Behind this fastball, and it's 1-2. He's always gone about his business quietly, remembering that advice from his dad. And he also gets some of his quiet nature from his mom. On this 1-2, Chase Utley fouls it off, and we'll do it again. It was in this ballpark a couple of years ago that Chase Utley pretended to be a bat boy so he could run up to the home plate umpire, disguised, and tell him that Clayton Kershaw needed that borderline strike. Didn't want to make a scene, didn't want to shout from the dugout, didn't want to show anybody up. So he put the jacket on, he put the double ear flap helmet, and carried a handful of balls out to the umpire. The umpire looks up, thinks that he's getting just a fresh set of balls for the next inning, and he sees Chase Utley. Look, Blue. Yeah, it's me. Don't worry about it. Play it cool. Look, it's Clayton Kershaw. He deserves that outside corner. Start giving it to him. Another 1-2. And a fly ball to right center field. That is going to split the gap and bounce its way to the wall. Grandal hits third and heads for the plate. The throw comes home on the money to get Grandal. Utley's at third, but the game remains tied at 1. Grandal immediately started to complain that he wasn't given access to home by Manny Pena. Let's take a look.
Well, the Brewers did an excellent job on this relay. They're waving Grandal home, and when we looked at the other angle, it looked like he didn't give him a lane, but at this, the Brewers would argue, is that where the ball was taking the catcher so he can catch it? And that's what Dave Roberts is definitely going to have them look, and as he should. It's a good thing to check, to make sure, to see.
We saw a similar discussion with a little bit louder finish to it at Dodger Stadium last month with Matt Kemp and Robinson Chirinos in the home plate collision. But you said it, if the ball takes him there, and if he's making the play, if he's in an act of fielding the ball, it's legal to block home plate.
I know all the fans here, as they show the play on the board, are seeing that he is tagged out, and there he is tagged. He's out, so that's what they're cheering for. Like, how are they even looking at this? That he's obviously out. But they probably don't realize that they're probably not questioning whether he got tagged. It's more as if he was given the proper lane to score.
So the call on the field remains, and the score remains 1-1. Looked like a pretty clean, fair play from Pena.
Yeah.
So the first out of the inning is made at home, with the top of the order coming up. One in the seventh. Chris Taylor to the plate. Ball one. Infield plays in for the Brewers. After Taylor, it'll be Machado. He's already reached all 3 times tonight. A single and 2 walks. Taylor's out in front, and it's 1-1.
This is where this at bat really important. Taylor trying to find a way, not only just knocking him in, but to find a way to get on, just to see if they try to force them to see if they can pitch to Machado. Because if they're able to strike him out here, they're going to pitch around Machado just like they did the last 2 at bats for him. They haven't been giving him anything in his last 2 at bats.
Taylor to left. That's top spinning down. A base hit to give the Dodgers the lead. Chase Utley in to score on a 7th inning single from Chris Taylor, and it's 2-1.
That's a great job by Chris Taylor. Staying on that ball. It was down and away. It was a breaking ball, but not coming off of it. You see the head down. You see the body go down as well to stay on it. Even though he was out in front a little bit, but he did not pull off of the ball and gets rewarded with a nice RBI single.
And all three Dodgers that have come up against Taylor Williams in this inning have a hit. A single from Grandal, the extra base hit from Utley. And now the RBI hit from Taylor against a bullpen that has not been itself in recent weeks. So now Machado, who Nomar has seen 11 pitches and only 1 strike.
So we're gonna go back to like that last set, his last at bat, even though there was nobody on, it basically was like you might as well have just been able to say give him 4, you know, the intentional walk without pitching him, because they didn't give him anything close. And in the at bat before, when there were guys on, they weren't going to let him hit and in scoring position, so they pitched around him.
Not close for the first one here. He's kind of used to it.
And kudos to Machado. It's really easy as a hitter to be frustrated, know they're not pitching to you, and then maybe go out of your zone and try to get something done, rather than on the flip side saying, look, now I can really keyhole that they're not going to give me anything and look for a mistake to capitalize on. So to really just jump over my sweet spot, my pitch, and do damage. Because it's a little bit different for a pitcher throwing to a guy like Machado you're pitching around, saying, I don't care if I miss, if I get the corner, I'm lucky, but I don't care if I miss, compared to another guy like, I know he's dangerous, but I can still try to get the corner.
One on, one out. 2-0. Machado cuts and misses 2-1. And you can probably just look up here and tell, as a guy who used to do that some, in that he hasn't flinched on anything.
No, and that tells me he's recognizing it as well, what they're doing to him, what he also wants to do, and where he's looking to do damage.
See what he does on 2-1. Cuts loose again, base hit into center. 2 singles, 2 walks for Machado.
That was nice. I thought 2-0, he let it fly. He got a pitch even though it was the outer half. Same thing here. He's staying on it. He gets a ball that was tailing in on his hands, but still able to stay inside that ball. Take it up the middle for a single.
He's got a hit to right. He's got a hit to center. He's been on all 4 times in his Dodger debut. He touched on it a little bit, but man, how difficult for the Brewers to have to watch the one that got away 7 times over the first couple weeks of the second half here. Part of what has been an awful week for the Brewers in every way. I mean, they lose 6 in a row and lose first place to finish the first half. They go to DC. Jesus Aguilar gets knocked out in the first round, is the #1 seed in the home run derby. And then everything goes down with Josh Hader. The off the field issues there, that's been a big story in Milwaukee, with his racist and homophobic tweets surfacing from 2011. That's been a constant story since. And then they lose out on Machado. 2 on, 1 out. Max Muncy, the hitter. He looks at strike 1. They're on cloud 9 around here for much of the first half, leading for 2 months in the Central. Kind of similar to last year, though, when they led for most of the first half, and then the Cubs overtook them in the second half. Finished a game out of the wild card. Muncy with a base hit to right center. Taylor's in to score. Machado stopped at third on a Muncy double, and the Dodgers lead at 3-1.
Muncy does a good job getting this 96-mile-an-hour fastball down and in, staying on it, taking it right up to the right center gap.
And Taylor Williams, who gives up less than a hit per inning on the season, has allowed a hit to all 5 batters that he's faced.
And I think all 5 batters have done an excellent job recognizing he's struggling, looking for their pitches, hitting his mistakes. What a stop on home plate by Pena. That was not easy, because that looked like it was just eating him up. Look how far in front this ball just hits the dirt, and how he ends up catching that, turning his glove. He got lucky that the ball still stayed in front of him.
Second and third, one out. Matt Kemp on this 1-0 takes ball 2. Top of the order, getting the job done for the Dodgers tonight. Now you can put Kemp in that equation. He's put on to load the bases. A chance for Kike Hernandez to break this thing wide open. Strike 1. One and one. Taylor Williams, who turns 27 tomorrow, battling through one of his roughest outings of the season. It's been a good year for the rookie. He lets the 1-1 fly, and Hernandez jumps out of the way. Ball 2. Now a 2-1. Popped off of the hands. Infield fly rule in effect, and it's Aguilar for the second out. Big second out for Taylor Williams. Cody Bellinger comes up.
That was a big out, especially when you have a pitcher who's struggling on the hill. You have 5 hits in a row and intentionally walk to get to you. And even then, you're just going, let's still 1 out, man on third base. And you're looking for a hit. You're looking for a ball to get in the air for at least possible sac fly.
Up to Bellinger, trying to put up a crooked number here in the 7th with 2 in the bank already. The base is loaded. Bellinger skies the first pitch into right. And this is going to feel like a minor victory for Taylor Williams. The first 6 against him reach. The Dodgers settle for 2, but lead at 3-1 as we stretch. In his Dodger debut. All hugs and smiles from his teammates and his manager. And he's provided the hugs and the smiles since the game started. He's reached all 4 times with a pair of singles and a pair of walks.
So far, that's how you want to warm yourself to a new team. You just get traded over. Still, there's a lot of nerves that you're dealing with when you're putting on that new uniform, especially for him. You've only known one organization your entire career. You go to a new organization. You know all the hype behind the trade. You know how they feel about you. You're going over to a new team, a contending team. Not a bad first impression.
After the 6 innings from Rich Hill to the bullpen, and Scott Alexander, who delivers strike 1 to the 8-hitter Keon Broxton. Scott, of course, turning himself into one of the trusted members of Dave Roberts' bullpen for that midseason stint in AAA. And a new catcher, Yasmani Grandal. No balls, 2 strikes. 2004. Omar, you had played at that point your entire career in Boston. They drafted you. They brought you up. You were there for almost a decade. And then July 31st, it all changes. You go to Chicago and put on an entirely different uniform for the first time in your career, not unlike Manny Machado's doing. Alexander quickly makes work of Broxton for the first out of the 7th. What's that day like?
It's a whirlwind. It really is. Because, you know, for me, I remember just finding out, like, okay, you're traded, and it was packing up your locker as right before the game. You're going to be playing in that game. Then next thing you know, you're taking out of the lineup. You pack your stuff. You say goodbye. Guys are getting ready for the game. You go back to the hotel. You have a ticket waiting for you the next morning to fly to Chicago. You land. You get your stuff. You go to the ballpark. Put your stuff away. Say hi to a couple guys in your team. Do a press conference, and then you're back out there. You're stretching. You're playing for a new team and trying to win Maddox's 300 win.
Swatted foul by the pinch hitting Nate Orff.
And you're supposed to just take away all the emotion, everything that's happened to you, all your whole life that you've been focused on in your career at one organization or one place, your home, and then if you're on the road, you're trying to think, okay, how do I get back? How do I get my stuff? What do I have to pack? And what day can I go do that?
And Manny had heard nothing but questions over the All-Star week about where he was going and his whole thoughts on that. He said he was looking forward to playing the All-Star game and then having a day off Wednesday, but got word early Wednesday that the deal would probably be finished by the end of the night. He just didn't know exactly where he was headed, only that he needed to go to the park to get his stuff. And so he was at Camden Yards packing his stuff up when he got word that destination was Milwaukee, but to play for the Dodgers. So whirlwind for him. And then you get here, and you mentioned it, he had said during the press conference, like first day of school kind of thing, meeting all your new teammates, new friends. And oh yeah, having to go play short, bat second for a first place team.
And with all the whirlwind that's going on before the game, where you find comfort is when you're out there in your position and when the game starts. That's when you're like, okay, this is baseball. You still kind of feel like I said, you want that first hit out of the way. You want to do something good. Because you kind of carry that with you out there. But you know that that's your sanctuary where you go out there once the game starts and out there on the field.
It would only be human for it to kind of give Manny a jolt coming to a first place team from a Baltimore team that was on pace and still is to lose more than 110 games this year. One end of the spectrum to the other, and how meaningful each game is. "26 years old, just celebrated his birthday 2 weeks ago. Former 3rd overall pick in the draft. It was in 2010 at a high school in Miami. Debuted less than 2 years after that when he was 20. Orf down on strikes. Back-to-back Ks to open Alexander's night.
Well, what's better than watching baseball and eating Dodger dogs? Well, on Wednesday, August 1st, when the Dodgers host the Brewers, all fans in attendance can purchase $1 Dodger dogs. Buy up to 5 Dodger dogs per person per transaction. Visit Dodgers.com/promotions.
I know we've seen you a couple times over the years throughout the ballpark. Having whatever food they bring you. I bet you can throw down some Dodger dogs.
Yes, I can. Gotta make sure I bring a lot of $5 bills that day, so I can, since it's 5 per transaction.
Sure.
So I'll just keep getting back in line. So I know it's going to be a long line, so after I make my first transaction, I might be eating the 5 in line so I can get the next one, but hopefully be done by then.
Another than 2 on Lorenzo Cain. Yeah, you should just finish the 5 while in line and time out perfectly. Ready for your next 5. One ball and 2 strikes. The Dodger bullpen, which was one of the worst in the National League over the first month and a half of the season, a whole lot better since mid-May. The top of the National League the last 2 months. King with a tapper foul. Still, though, as Farhan Zaidi acknowledged when we visited with him earlier, a spot they're looking to address between now and the deadline. It's kind of weird that there are still a week and a half, 2 weeks until the deadline, when they've already made the big splash of splashes that you're going to see at the deadline this year. Cain to left center. Kike Hernandez moves over and finishes off a 1-2-3-7 for Scott Alexander. For a preview of Access Sportsnet Dodgers, presented by your Southern California Ford dealers.
All right, thanks, Joe. Manny Machado's debut, 4 at-bats, has reached base all 4 times. Dodgers trying to get a win in his debut, Ned.
Hasn't had a lot of pitches to hit, but those he's had, he's done something good with.
Neds and the Bulldog. Ora will be here in studio to break it down after the game. Alana will have reaction from Manny Machado.
Didn't have a speaking part, but his body language was great. Brandon Woodruff on for the 11th time. Isn't that a kind of an odd thing to just stand there in those previews? And
it takes a lot of practice, Joe, and a lot of work. And very few of us professionals are able to pull that off.
You certainly do.
Well, it's like I said, it doesn't Didn't happen overnight.
No,
Definitely took
right.
some work.
Yeah, it's not something that's God-given.
Nope.
Logan Forsythe to start this 8th. Taking strike 1 from the rookie. Logan is 0 for 3 tonight. Two. At the bottom of the 2nd in Phoenix, Diamondbacks lead the Rockies 3-2. It's a crowded picture in the West. Diamondbacks a half game out. Colorado finished the first half at a 5-game winning streak. They're within 2. And then you've got San Francisco playing some pretty good baseball themselves. They're within 4 of the Dodgers. It's easily the tightest division in baseball. On a 1-2 pitch, Forsythe takes ball 2. Able to lay off, full count. Down the right field line, foul. And the count holds at 3-2. Dodgers trying to move to 11-4 in July. Seventh pitch from Woodruff to Forsythe, and another foul. It's going to take a minute to get used to Bob Guerin wearing 16. We've seen him wear number 8 for 2.5 years. Even though you don't see a ton of him as the bench coach, it's a little bit odd. Said the last time that he gave up his number mid-season, his team went to the World Series. 2015 with the Mets. Forsythe looks at strike 3. Travis d'Arnaud wanted Guerin 7. Bob gave it to him, and together they won a pennant that year. With 1 out, here's Grandal in a 3-1 game, and came off of the bench to lead off last inning with a single. How about this month of July he's putting together?
The swing in the bat well during this month. You know one thing about Grandal, there are times he can be streaky. And when those streaks happen, he gets on fire, looking to just keep that going. Nice consistency. Came off the bench already and had a nice base hit.
Great April, bad May. June was performing a little bit better than the numbers showed. He was hitting it hard. Just wasn't getting much to show for it. We're starting to get the results here in July. On this 2-0. Grandal takes a strike. Two and 2. Down to Alana.
Bob Guerin having to give up his number to Travis d'Arnaud in the middle of the season. Well, that's certainly not the only thing that he was able to do for Travis d'Arnaud. He actually officiated his wedding in February of this year. So it's not just the Bulldog officiating players' weddings. Bob Guerin getting in on the act as well.
Yeah. Grandal down on strikes, 2 away.
Dodgers have a couple of people you can request. to officiate your wedding. That's impressive.
Scott Alexander will hit for himself here after that very quick 7th inning on the mound. Dave Roberts wants him to pitch the 8th as well. He looks at ball 1. One and one. Strike 2. 2, 3, and 4 for Alexander to deal with in the 8th. Yelich, Aguilar, and Shaw. On a 1-2 pitch, Scott Alexander slashes it foul. Little smile from him. You don't get to do this often. He's trying to hold back a bigger smile.
Did he start? Did he get a start this year?
He did.
He got an at bat during that start, didn't he?
Colorado.
Yep.
He takes strike 3 here, and he'll go back to what he's paid to do. Dodgers 3, Brewers 1 to the bottom of the 8th. Been a fun way for the second half of the season to get started with the arrival of Manny Machado and some exciting action in this one. Both teams nice looking relays to home plate to cut down a run. Some clutch hitting. 3-1 Dodger lead as we go to the bottom of the 8th. And 2, 3, and 4 get ready to hit for the Brewers against Scott Alexander. It's Christian Yelich to lead it off with 2 doubles on his line tonight. He's 6 years old in his 6th major league year. He's just been so consistent. 5 years with the Marlins, now his first year with Milwaukee. And that average, the on base percentage, the OPS, it's all right in line with where it always seems to be. And the people around him would tell you that that's a direct reflection of the way he works. The same every single day. On a 1-0 pitch, Yelich grounds it foul, and it's 1-1. You got a chance to see him at the Futures game a few years back, and you saw something right then that told you that he would be like this.
It was such a pretty, he had that same pretty swing even then. The way it was through the zone, it got in the hitting zone early, stayed flat through it. He stayed on the ball.
That's just foul. It's a Southern California guy. Went to Westlake High School. Thousand Oaks native. Drafted in the first round by the Marlins and then debuted when he was 21. Didn't have a favorite team growing up in Southern California, so wasn't a Dodger guy, wasn't an Angel guy. He was a Derek Jeter guy. No favorite team, but favorite player. Takes outside, and it's 2-2. So what an odd thing for that to come full circle with Derek Jeter taking over the Marlins and Yelich being part of Jeter's teardown. Dealt to the Brewers for a big haul.
Now ask him if he's still a fan.
He looks at strike 3, and Alexander's retired all 4 men that he's faced tonight. Maybe he is a Jeter fan, though, because Jeter freed him from what is not a fun situation there. So Dave Roberts stuck with Alexander for the left-handed batting Yelich. He'll go back into the bullpen with the right-handed hitting Jesus Aguilar coming up in a 3-1 game.
Because on July 31st, when the Dodgers host the Milwaukee Brewers at 7:10, the first 40,000 fans will receive an Alex Wood bobblehead presented by Emirates. For tickets, visit Dodgers.com/promotions.
Well, the All-Star break comes, and for some it's like, no, I'm red hot right now. I don't need the break. But for Daniel, it came at a good time. He had given up runs in back-to-back games after a fantastic stretch. And now his first outing in more than a week.
He did have a fantastic stretch. I mean, if you talked about his back-to-back games giving up runs, but he'd only given up 4 earned runs in his last 17 outings.
Pitching with the 3-1 lead. 6 innings from Rich Hill tonight. 4 up, 4 down for Scott Alexander. And now Hudson to Aguilar with strike 1 at 97. Seeing that velocity consistently tick up and pretty comfortably sit there in the mid to high 90s for Hudson. One ball and 1 strike. Back to the fastball, and it is absolutely crushed. Aguilar with his National League leading 25th of the season and a 3-2 game.
Threw a 97-mile-an-hour fastball. Got him the first pitch. Didn't miss the 96-mile-an-hour fastball. Up and in. I mean, right when he hit it, it was a no-doubter.
Aguilar will be the lone man that Hudson faces. And now Zach Roscoe in a 3-2 game in the 8th. With his Dodger debut. He was activated on Saturday but didn't pitch over the final 2 games of the first half. Lefty specialist called on to face the left-handed batting Travis Shaw. Aguilar home run has the Brewers within 1 at 3-2. Roscoe gets strike 1. Roscoe started this season in the Rockies system. Missed a good chunk of the first half with an issue on his left middle finger, but when he was active was very good. Had an ERA around 1 and a hitter's friendly AAA. He's quickly ahead of Shaw, 0-2. And the Dodgers want to see what they have here with so many injuries in the bullpen right now. See what Roscoe can give them from that left side.
He has 71 career big league games over 5 seasons. And he's been able to limit left-handed batters to just a 136 batting average.
Is 0-2. Shaw goes the other way with it. That sends Chris Taylor back. No big deal. He's got it. Roscoe does the job against the first hitter that he faces as a Dodger. With a right-handed hitter, Dave Roberts hustles back out there, and the parade in from that Dodger bullpen continues in a 3-2 game in the 8th. So you go from Alexander for Yelich, Hudson for Aguilar, Ross Cup for Shaw, and now Floro for Saladino in a 3-2 game in the 8th. Just how you knew it'd be in late July, right? With the Dodgers a half game in first, from Hudson to Ross Cup to Floro.
Yep.
With Manny Machado at short behind him. Been a perfect night for him. 2 hits, 2 walks, only 1 ball hit to him at short, and he made a clean play. Here comes Floro to Saladino. Lays down a bunt. Machado, or at third, Muncy with a bare hand throw late, and Saladino with a bunt hit.
Well, smart play by Saladino. You have Muncy playing deep. You've come up 3 times. You struck out all 3 times. They bring in a new pitcher. Why not lay it down? Get himself a hit.
And Hernan Perez to the plate, representing the go-ahead run here in the 8th. Brewers are fairly familiar with Floro, and that he came over from Cincinnati, so they've already seen him 4 times this year. He's been good against the Brewers, though. Floro to Perez with ball 1. Strike 1. Got to keep an eye on Saladino. The Brewers steal more bases than any team in baseball, which is an interesting combo with a team that hits as many home runs as they do. Saladino, good wheels. Here's a 1-1 and a pop-up short right. Forsythe slides under it, and the inning is over. A home run from Aguilar, but Floro puts the finishing touches on the inning, and we go to the 9th, 3-2. Spicy Chicken Club combo with toasted sourdough, new from Jack in the Box. Ah, gotta love the hot pretzels. Get them a little bit wet, get some salt on them.
A little and spicy mustard.
Ooh,
yes,
next level.
Over here if you need me.
Top of the order for the Dodgers. They need some insurance. Up 3-2 as this game goes to the 9th. Chris Taylor's having a good start to the second half. 2 hits, 2 runs scored. Woodruff stays into pitch and misses inside with the first one. After Taylor, it's Machado and then Muncy. Talked about it earlier, but the versatility of a guy like Taylor, the versatility that you find across the roster, the reason that what Dave Roberts has to do now is possible. Keeping everybody happy with Machado in the fold, playing virtually every day at short. Taylor smashes one in the air to center, but Lorenzo Cain drifts back and makes the catch for the first out.
Pretty much has everybody in the infield for the Dodgers that could play more than one position. I mean, Cody Ballinger's at first, but he can play. We've seen him in the outfield, center field. Logan Forsythe's at second. We've seen him play third. Justin Turner can play third. He can play second. Max Muncy playing third. Seen him at second, at first. Manny Machado can play short, play third. Chris Taylor can play all over. Same thing with Kike Hernandez. Not much versatility, right? Never mind.
Couple hits, couple walks tonight for Machado. Here he takes strike 1. Not seen many strikes. Flies this one to short right field where Keon Broxton runs on to put it away, and Machado retired for the first time tonight. 2 gone in the 9th. One of the narratives that always comes with the home run derby is, oh no, is it going to ruin so-and-so's swing? And Muncy very much aware of that being a thing. He said, though, the fact that he didn't really change his swing as much as he just changed his sight lines a little bit going into the derby had him confident that there wouldn't be much of a drop off. He takes ball 1. So same swing, just instead of trying to hit it to the middle of the field, he set his sights down the line, tried to pull everything, but he's going to focus today on batting practice, just changing the sights back to using the whole field, back to the middle of the field. And so far so good. He's got 2 hits.
Well, he did that with his RBI double. Stayed in the middle of the field, hit the right center, stayed on it. I really wasn't too worried about it affecting him either. Just the way his approach. I mean, he touched on it. I talked to him before about his approach, and it's not about hitting the ball out of the ballpark. He doesn't have that approach. He thinks about hitting gap to gap and staying in the middle of the field.
It's ahead 2-1, and we check in with Alana.
Guys, expect to see Max Muncy in the home run derby any single time he is invited. Had a quick conversation with him earlier today. He said it was the absolute most fun he's had on this stage ever, as you might imagine, so far in this game in his short big league career. He goes, I don't understand people that don't want to do it. I'll do it anytime they ask.
I mentioned earlier, but he said he was more nervous leading up to that than he was leading up to his major league debut. They got in at about 4 a.m. He and the other All-Stars did Monday morning. He got a few hours of sleep. Wanted to go take in all the All-Star festivities. Kenley Jansen gets ready for the bottom of the 9th. And so he was distracted enough where he wasn't that nervous early in the morning. But as it got closer and as he got to the ballpark and then was sitting in the clubhouse waiting for them to come grab the guys that were in the derby, he was so nervous. Said it went away though as soon as Turner Ward threw him the first one. He's got to walk, keep this 9th inning alive. He found himself getting into that groove to beat Javier Baez in the first round. Said the biggest issue in the second round was he just simply got tired, couldn't get his hands into the right position. That's when Bryce Harper knocked him out.
Oh, it's definitely fatiguing. There's no question about it. Then you realize just how much you used every single muscle in your body. Like all of a sudden you're going, why is just everything hurt? I take batting practice every day, but everything doesn't hurt all of a sudden like that. Just sore, not hurt probably, but more sore.
And when you were doing it, it wasn't a clock, so you could at least take your breath a little bit, step out.
Yeah, you could take some pitches, which I find it a little bit harder because you had to just take that one swing, and if you didn't hit it out, if you didn't get one out, it was an out. Rather than now, it feels more like batting practice, and you can get into a rhythm.
2-0 on Matt Kemp.
And I just like this new format. Not only for that reason, but you get to see just more home runs. And I think with the clock too, now you're looking at two things. Can the guy get enough home runs to beat the guy with the clock? And I found myself with Max Muncy kind of getting out of my chair, like, is he going to do it? And when he hit it, you're like, yes.
Buzzer beating home runs. On a 2-0 pitch. Kemp breaks his bat on a teardrop to the right side. That'll get under the glove of Perez. That was a weird looking play.
Well, the bat breaks. It goes into the crowd. First and foremost, we hope everybody is okay in the crowd. But that one has some English on it.
The bat or the ball?
The ball. And the bat probably had some too. I think the bat just had a direct flight, but that one, where it goes, and I think with that spin, it just kind of kicks away from the second baseman.
It's a base hit for Kemp. First of the night for him. Big at bat coming here for Kike Hernandez with the Dodgers in front 3-2. Kenley Jansen ready to pitch the bottom of the ninth. But as we've told you, the Brewers get almost as many home runs as anybody. Waits patiently. Ball one. Strike one. Two on, two out. 1-1 pitch coming. Hernandez hits a high fly ball to deep center. Kane's back on it. Still going. Not going to get there. 3-run home run. Kike Hernandez. To bust this thing wide open in the ninth. Number 17 of the year for Hernandez as he continues to add to that career high total.
You're looking for some insurance runs. It's just the way they wrote it up. Max Muncy get a walk. Matt Kemp break your bat, find a single, and then Kike Hernandez hit a 3-run home run.
It's a walk, bloop, and a blast. And strike one on Bellinger.
Well, adding to that total at Miller Park, the Dodgers with another home run and driving it to center field.
Ball on a strike on Bellinger. You saw the exit velocity on that was 103. Matt Kemp's base hit The exit velocity was 57 miles per hour.
Both were hits.
Yeah. Bellinger unable to lay off. 1-2.
Both would get a quarter from my father.
You were paid a quarter for every hit?
Yep.
Through your big league career too?
Nope.
Okay.
Paid him $1 for every strikeout, quarter for every hit. If I hit a home run, it was still a quarter.
Huh. Two and two. Full count. By the way, Bellinger back in the 6th is initially ruled an infield hit. They've changed that to an error on the shortstop Saladino. So Cody tonight is 1 for 4. Now payoff. Got him swinging. But a 3-run home run from Kike Hernandez takes a tight one and breaks it open. 6-2 to the bottom of the 9th. Has the Dodgers ahead 6-2 and means that Kenley Jansen can sit down and Dylan Floro can go back to work trying to wrap this thing up. Manny Pena starts the inning. How about this? San Diego opened the second half in Philadelphia and it was a blowout game, so kind of moving guys around trying to figure out how to finish it off. That's ball one from Floro. A.J. Ellis played in the left field in the late innings.
He'd fit right back in here with the Dodgers playing multiple positions.
2-0. Andrew Friedman and Farhan Zaidi on the phone with the San Diego front office. Hey, we like that versatile catcher of yours. The Ellis guy. Yeah, he plays a little bit of left too, right? 2-0. Strike one. So 11-5 final score in that game. Phillies beat the Padres. In Phoenix, it's 5-3 Arizona. And the Giants have taken a 2-1 lead on the Oakland A's. That game in the 6th inning in Oakland. Pena muscles one into left. Leadoff hit, his second hit of the night. the pinch hitting Brett Phillips comes up. Two more games in this series. Tomorrow is an hour earlier, 4:10 Los Angeles time, as Clayton Kershaw makes his first start of the second half. And Chase Anderson goes for Milwaukee. And then Sundays at 11:10 Pacific, Alex Wood and Brent Suter. Dodgers lining up three left-handed pitchers for the Brewers. You mentioned earlier Milwaukee has really struggled with left-handed starters. The Dodgers trying to prey on that. Two and up. Ball three. That's Brad Miller with the pitcher's spot on deck. And Kenley Jansen resumes throwing. It's getting a little too interesting for Dave Roberts here. The leadoff hit from Pena, and now 4-pitch walk to Phillips. Kenley says he needs just one more. Some motion to the bullpen catcher, and Dave Roberts says buy him time for one or two more, telling Yasmani Grandal to go out and talk to Floro. And he will have to go to Jansen after all. It'll be part of a double switch. Jock Peterson. Coming on from Matt Kemp. We'll shuffle that outfield around as Jansen comes on to try and shut things down in a 6-2 game in the ninth. And it calls for Kenley Jansen.
I think Dave Roberts was thinking, okay, I may not have to use Kenley in this game. Get him a little bit more rest. Fortunately, have to call upon him, and didn't take him long to get back warmed up in the bullpen.
The hitter is Brad Miller, and after Miller, it's the top of the order. That's ball one from Jansen. Kenley had a rough day Saturday against Anaheim, but followed that with a pretty clean Sunday afternoon. The velocity was back. He knocked down another save. And headed to DC for his 3rd consecutive All-Star game. That's a strike, 1-1. Kershaw tomorrow. One and two. Line to first, Bellinger with a catch. Phillips does a nice job to get back to the bag. One gone in the 9th.
Gets in on the hands of Miller. Woody Bellinger thought he might have had a chance there, as he was messing with Phillips over there at first.
Settles for the 1 out, and Kane comes up. Strike 1. Kane's able to reach. Christian Yelich comes up representing the tying run. And if the Brewers get it by Yelich, we've got the National League leader in home runs looming, and Jesus Aguilar hit his 25th of the year last inning. Jansen's 0-1. At the knees, strike 2. Lorenzo Cain, 9-year veteran, 32 years old. On an 0-2 pitch. Taps it foul. Signed a record contract this offseason. At least for the Brewers, 5 years, $80 million, largest contract they'd ever given. And it's had a great year. Finds himself in an 0-2 hole against Jansen. Ball 1. Got him swinging, 2 out of the 9.
Just gets him with the cutter, and I think that was his best one during this at bat. A couple of pitches he got strikes on, and the first one I think Lorenzo was going to take for a strike, and the next one on him that he took, actually he missed his spot, and there he's able to just paint on the outside corner with a great pitch.
Yelich limited duty against Jansen, but success in those few ABs. 2 for 3 with a double. 2 on, 2 out, trying to get Aguilar to the plate here in the 9th. Jansen delivers. Yelich pulls one inside the bag, into the corner. 2 runs will score on a Yelich triple. It's 6-4. Aaron Aguilar to the plate representing the tying run.
We were talking about Yelich, how well he's been swinging all year long, his entire career. He gets a cutter on the inner half. He gets the barrel to it early so he doesn't get sawed off, and then is able to keep it bare. Oftentimes when you get the barrel out there, especially a guy who throws a cutter in on your hands, it's tough to keep it fair, and he keeps it just bare down the line.
And here comes Aguilar with his National League leading 25 homers. Here come the fans to their feet at Miller Park. Ball one.
You have someone in Aguilar with 24 home runs, 25 because he hit one today. And then you have Travis Shaw behind him who has 18.
1-1.
It's one of those where you're going, okay, we already saw Aguilar hit one a long way. You have to be careful, obviously. But if you put him on, you feel more comfortable going, okay, the guy behind him, you want to take your chances on?
Pick your poison.
All right.
1-2. Chance and a strike away.
Now he has 3 chances. I understand he doesn't have to be perfect with his pitch. He makes sure to see if he can get him to chase off the plate.
Aguilar chases up as much as any hitter in baseball. That's where they're going. It worked to finish the game. Kenley Jansen on to finish things off. The Dodgers open the second half with a 6-4 win. And in his Dodger debut, Manny Machado reaches 4 times.
Well, the excitement behind Manny Machado, the Dodgers starting the second part of the season after the All-Star break. Kike with a big 3-run home run. And usually how they write it up. Kenley Jansen closing it out. Good start to the next part of the season.
A home run looms large from Hernandez. Lexus player of the game, Machado, 2 singles, 2 walks, and made the play on the lone chance he had it short. His Dodger debut is a successful one. The Dodgers now with a full game lead in the division, and they'll await the final in Arizona between the Diamondbacks and the Rockies.